Hello, everyone, and welcome to September. This is Otaku Showboat, and today, as per our usual schedule, I would like to thank everyone who is a supporter through Patreon. The list is right there of those who are copper tier and above, as well as, our usual update of what happened over the month of August. That is our agenda for the day. So, of course, first off, thank you all so very much for the continued support going into the month of September. I know that these are pretty trying times, and I fully understand why sub amounts through Patreon and others through Twitch, etc., have been changing recently. So while everything processed is done processing for the month of September, a couple people have decided to, well, one decided to reduce their pledge. That is the other anonymous person who is currently at Chromium. So going forward, after this month, which has been paid for at the current amount that they were providing, going forward into October, they'll be switched down, marked as the equivalent of glass, because that's what they changed it to. Uh, that and there has been one decline currently, and I think someone also left. So we're down to basically instead of 17, which we were at patrons, the official count is currently 15. So one is gone, and one decline got a decline on the card, but that can come back as soon as they do what they need to do. If they want to fix it, if they don't, fine. It doesn't matter to me so much, but what I can say is that right now, the count on Patreon patrons is 15, down from 17. However, however, I definitely want to say that I was extremely floored last night when I saw an email right before I went to bed. There was three emails that I got from Patreon. Uh, One was that a message. The first one I saw in reverse order, of course, reverse chronological order, for most recent on top. The first one was a message from my other Chromium supporter. Just a message received from my other Chromium supporter, Cole Foderaro, whose name is on this list going by. The second message said that they had changed their support to their $20 support through the Chromium tier, the tier that they're on right now. And then I saw the third message was that they had changed their support to be a lot more. um, a lot more. So they have they gave a very generous one-time tip through Patreon by increasing the amount that they pledge. It is charged immediately, and then they decreased it back down to what they normally provide, which is a very valid method of providing a one-time support. It's a way around how Patreon works, I guess, by just changing it briefly and putting it back down again. Because Patreon is a recurrent model. It is basically the same as a subscription, but I should note I have through not Patreon methods of providing one-time support. In particular, Streamlabs. I have a link below the video of every video on YouTube, as well as in the section below my stream, where I have a link to Streamlabs, which is basically a PayPal payment. It's basically just sending a one-time thing through PayPal. But if you do that, you also have your name that you put in and the amount visible to everyone at that point, which some may or may not prefer that. So I definitely want to give a big, big thank you to Cole Fotoraro for their extremely generous tip through Patreon. Uh, it's changed a lot, actually. I had a little bit of a hard time sleeping last night, which, I mean, yeah, of course. It's the first time I've seen just that much all at once like that from someone. Uh, yeah, it was great. It was fantastic even. We're just going to ignore the fact that also I was woken up at like 4 a.m. by my mother and her boyfriend packing up a vehicle to go to Massachusetts again. So I'm alone in the house. That's the other big news right now is I'm alone. They've gone off to Massachusetts again to do the exact same thing that they did last month. So everything I talked about last month about them being out to go through my grandmother's stuff and the house and all of that, they're returning to continue working on that because it doesn't stop. Like the amount of stuff that my grandmother and grandfather, maternal aunt had accrued over the course of their lives is still in that house, and it needs to not exist in that house if they are going to sell the house. The house needs to be sold. The mortgage is like the reverse mortgage on it was like 408 grand. So yeah, the house, we're waiting on the appraiser's estimate of it, hoping beyond hope for at least 575,000 for the value of the house to, sell it around that range. Um, so that the proceeds after the payments to the uh mortgage and any other final bills and such collections going through probate are paid off, that the final amount left over from the estate will get split evenly between my mother and her brother, my uncle. And that's going to be how that is handled, but that, of course, takes time. Selling a house takes time. There is an interested party in the house, but we shall see what the final offer and the amount that's decided upon as they go into contract actually becomes as we go on. But that's more of a my mother thing, not necessarily a me thing. So I still have to worry about my own income for the moment. So that very generous tip absolutely is going to help out for quite some time. Actually, it's yeah, I can devote a lot more time to content creation now because of that, and get get more people's eyes watching. So let's just put it this way: the tip has given me the greatest gift of all, which is not money, and that is time. It has given me time to work towards growing this as a business, which I am incredibly grateful for. So with all of that said, again, just thank you so much for that. Um, we're at 15 subs out of the 20 sub goal, which would be a fourth stream day. Just to point this out, I do not have actual dollar value goals through Patreon. Instead, I have subscriber number goals. Just I say this every time, just because I would rather have more people as part of the community and earn less. Just I want more people over time, just more warm bodies that are part of my community. I need to grow. I need to grow as quickly as I possibly can. I'll get to a reward for part of that. That's just happened in a bit, but I just want to say I will stream a 4th stream day when I hit 20 bodies providing patronage through Patreon. Doesn't matter what level of support. It's minimum $1. $1 recurrent each month to support by Patreon and to basically just put actual value down to validate in that way that people are interested in the continuation of my content and want to see me continue to grow. That's what that is all about at 20, 4th stream day. What that 4th stream day would be, what it would look like, I am currently undecided. I will be most likely, once I get up to 20, doing a poll for what to stream on that 4th stream day. At this point, I have pretty much decided that that 4th stream day is going to be on Wednesdays at my normal stream time. However, I have also been considering streaming not on Twitch on that 4th stream day, but on YouTube on that 4th stream day. So I want to know in the comments what you would think about that if I were to stream something different than my normal stream on Wednesdays on YouTube rather than on Twitch. It would require a bunch of setup of stuff to really do, but YouTube does now have greater than 1,000 subscribers versus the about 250 followers that I have on Twitch. So I have a greater base of people who would be notified of me going live on YouTube. Speaking of which, I have over 1,000 YouTube subscribers now. That has happened over the course of this month, and that has unlocked several features on YouTube. Many things. In particular, of course, the obvious is monetization. So, yes, there are going to be ads and such on YouTube, my videos going forward. That just comes with the fact that I have grown to that point where I am now allowed to have such things on my channel because I have hit this arbitrary value of 1,000 subscribers and have maintained greater than whatever number of watch hours, 4,000 watch hours over the past however many days. It was more like 20,000, not 4 watch hours. Over the course of the whatever 120 days I think they wanted. I forget if it's like a year or what. Whatever time frame, 4,000 hours. I had like 20, so that was above and beyond what I needed for the monetization. It's just I needed precisely 1,000 subscribers for that. Even though I have in the past had monetization, there was a time where it was significantly easier to get monetization through YouTube on your channel, and I was later on, about a month or two-ish later, a member of a multi-content or multi-channel network called N4G TV. There were several videos. I had the little intro for N4G TV on my videos. I was part of the Extended Maker Studios network. That was what N4G technically fell under. They were a subsidiary of Maker Studios. But, of course, Maker Studios no longer exists. It was bought by Disney at first, and that meant that I actually got like a check from Disney. Well, a payment from Disney, a couple payments from Disney for like $15, something small like that. So that was interesting way back then. But of course, Disney shut down Maker Studios and all of its subsidiaries, which meant that I didn't have a network anymore that I was part of, and that was around the time that I had stopped making videos for like a couple years-ish. Um, so yeah, and then basically I had reverted back to just YouTube partnership, which then YouTube decided, hey, we're going to remove monetization from anyone who doesn't meet these new standards, which was 1,000 subs and whatever many watch hours, 4,000 watch hours in a certain amount of time. That happened. I lost the ads. At that point, I had stopped caring. At that point, I just wasn't into it anymore. At that point, I was a bit more focused on finishing, finally, my master's degree around that time, attempting to finish my master's degree. It wasn't until like over a year later. We're talking, at this point, it was 2017 that I had finally, for 2018, I finally got my master's degree. So, yeah, that was a time of my life. That was a time period in my life. And then I, of course, didn't really start doing content again until I started streaming on a consistent basis with Factorio in the end. So to say that Factorio has changed my life would be an understatement. That, like, the decision to purchase the game, I knew at the time I did it, this was April of last year, April 2019. I think, or March, Ides of March, right? 15th March was when I purchased Factorio. I knew going into it that it would change everything. I knew going into it that it would be a game that I would not stop playing and that it would be at a detriment to other aspects of my life if I bought it and I played it and then I started streaming it after that, and then all of this has happened since I started making the content for modded versions of Factorio. It's really been fantastic. So it's not just the monetization that gets enabled through the ads; it's also things like super chats, as well as I now have access to YouTube memberships. So YouTube memberships are basically the same thing as Twitch subs, except that I can define what the cost of the tiers are. Like the actual cost, how much money is involved with it. I would see 70% of any membership fees, which is also more than Twitch. Twitch is like 50% minus fees and taxes. YouTube is 70%, which, yeah. The thing is, though, with YouTube memberships, while it allows you to add emotes, the emotes can only be used in live chats, which are exclusively part of YouTube streams, as well as YouTube premieres. Which I have done neither. I have done neither of these things at this point, so yeah, there's that. There's loyalty badges. There's loyalty badges that do get applied to comments on my videos, for being a member for certain periods of time. That would be like the only real beneficial value I could really give for members at this point in time. But again, I mentioned at 20 subs, I am streaming for a fourth stream day, and I am considering that fourth stream day being a stream on YouTube. So there you go. That would be a way in which a membership would allow you to actually use the emotes, would be through the live chat during that weekly stream on YouTube. And depending on how that goes, I might consider moving from Twitch to YouTube. Just all depends on what the engagement is like if I choose to do that little test with the fourth stream day and stream on YouTube instead of Twitch. So, I mentioned loyalty badges. I have at this point, very recently, just this past stream day, actually, uploaded and added loyalty badges for Twitch. These loyalty badges are the Pi Suite robots. Pi Suite robots, as in the construction and cargo slash logistic robots. It starts with the Mark 1 logistic, then Mark 1 construction. That's the 1 month, 2 month, 3 month is the Mark 2 logistic. 6 month is the Mark II construction, which honestly looks a lot better than its partner. And then the 9 month is like the high tech logistic cargo, and then the 12 month is the high tech construction robot. Now, note that the high tech construction and logistic robot are also available as Twitch emotes for those who give a certain number of cheers through bits, total accrued. I forget the exact values I have assigned for those. I have 3 emotes that get permanently unlocked that you can use across Twitch if you cheer certain amounts in grand total over time. Twitch keeps track of how much total you've given as bits to individual channels, and if you provide enough to my channel, I think the first one is a Falagy emote. It's at $10 worth of bits. 1,000 bits unlocks that one. Then I think it's 5 and then 10,000 bits. So, $10, $50, $100. I think that's what that ends up being the equivalent of, but that's accrued over time. It's not one-time deals for that. Just thought I'd mention that because I don't quite mention it all that often on Twitch. Speaking of emotes, YouTube immediately gives you access to 4 emote slots when I enable membership, and then it pretty quickly scales up how many emote slots you get access to. Like you get another emote slot at like 2 members, like just 2 members, and it's very, very quick on how many emotes you get. So that's another thing that the YouTube memberships have going for them. Just an FYI. Let's see what else. I have like a list of things to talk about today. Lots of things to talk about today. Just an in general thing. Viewership has been down. I mentioned the Patreon income thing eventually being down starting next month, and at current, unless we get more people coming in on the Patreon page, that income is down, and then the actual viewership on YouTube and Twitch has been down recently. So just want to throw that out there. Even though we have hit 1,000 subs, the overall stats have been a little bit on the slide lately. However, there's always a however. This I will be combating through the form of my 1,000 subscriber reward. So over this period of time, over the past week, I've been running a poll for what to play. What should I play as part of a special Let's Play series for YouTube for hitting 1,000 subscribers? And I want to bring up on my screen here as I describe what the results are. So, Crastorio 2 won this poll by 5 votes. There were 160 votes cast in this poll. That it allows you to select multiple things, so it's not 160 people voting, it's 160 votes cast total. 36 votes were for Crastorio 2. 31 votes were for an Angels Bob's Space Extension playthrough, or ABX. So obviously Crastorio 2 won, which means we're going to be playing Crastorio 2. But I have mentioned in my announcement video of this poll that I was actually going to be very much looking at the other results beyond just the very top, because I want to know what other games people are interested in that I included on this list. Now, what I find interesting, third place is actually a three-way tie, each with 10 votes, and that was Factorio Vanilla Plus, which is just vanilla Factorio with only quality of life type mods like Squeak Through, Hell Mod, that kind of information stuff, and of course quality of life, being able to go through gaps. So I'm not too surprised about that one being up there, the various modded forms of Factorio. But what is surprising to me is that the straight up modless Factorio is not among this list here of the top of this tied third place slot here. Autonauts got 10 votes as well as Planet Coaster, which that was surprising to me that Planet Coaster got so many votes, and yet for some reason Jurassic World Evolution, which was also on this list and made by the same company, only got one vote. I find that weird because that was also Frontier. That was also Frontier that made Planet Coaster. Huh. And Jurassic World Evolution, which is a park. It's a park builder. It is a park builder game. The same type of game as Planet Coaster, just with dinosaurs. Just with dinosaurs. And they also made the new Planet Zoo as well, which I don't own right now. I might own Planet Zoo at some point. I might own Satisfactory at some point, but we shall see. We shall see. I don't want to blow all the money that I have on any one thing in particular. So yeah, that was the third place votes. The fourth place was tied with 7 votes between Stardew Valley and Dark Souls 3, which is also pretty interesting. So we went from an automation game in the form of Autonauts and a management sim in the form of Planet Coaster to a more traditional simmy type game, life and management sim in Stardew Valley, to an RPG, just a flat out RPG in the form of Dark Souls 3 at 7 votes. So that was pretty interesting to see an RPG that high in this list. And then Factorio Modless was with 6 votes, followed by Skyrim Special Edition at 5. That's the other main PC RPG on this list. Then it's like a cluster of various things. We got 5 votes as well for the Gen 2 Pokemon games, Gold, Silver, Crystal. 4 votes for Subnautica. 4 votes for Total War Saga Troy. 4 votes for Pokemon Fire Red Leaf Green. 3 votes for Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 4. 3 votes for Yooka-Laylee. 3 votes for Pokemon Ruby Sapphire. I guess Emerald is also part of that. I apparently forgot about Emerald's existence. 3 votes for Colosseum, Pokemon Colosseum, for GameCube, and 3 votes for XD Gale of Darkness, also on the GameCube. Only 2 votes for Gladius, the LucasArts Gladius game, which I have recently removed from my Twitch channel a Let's Play of, and want to eventually get around to updating with my current standards of quality. But yeah, it only got 2 votes in this poll, so eh. If I put in the effort and no one watches it, what's the point? That's the attitude I need to have going forward. Then Gen 1 Pokemon had 2 votes with red, blue, green, yellow. Because yes, I have green. Because yes, I have green. It's green. It's it's green. It's green, which means that it's chroma keyed. It's chroma keyed because it's green. It's green. But yes, it is a legitimate copy of the Japanese Pokemon Green or Pocket the Monster in a custom case. Obviously, it's a custom case. I have every Gen 1 as the Japanese as well as the English versions. These cases are from customgamecases.com. Just by the way, I've got a lot of them, but I have red, blue, yellow, green in Japanese as well as red, blue, yellow English, and I do not have the Japanese versions of Gen 2. That's the only other thing. I have like nearly all Pokemon games. I just want to throw that out there. I have a few of these things. Let's see. That was 2 votes. Jurassic World Evolution had 1 vote, and Fable Anniversary Edition had 1 vote. Now I put Fable Anniversary on there just because Fable: The Lost Chapters was technically my first Let's Play that I recorded. The first video was recorded before the first video of the Rome Total War barbarian invasion as the Goths, I think. I think that's what it was, the Goths playthrough. Yeah, that one technically came first. It no longer exists on my channel. I got rid of it a very long time ago because it was bad. The sound quality was non-existent, as in you couldn't hear me at all. You couldn't really hear what I said without cranking the volume really high to be able to hear it, and then what I said was not really worth listening to begin with. I later on actually had streamed Fable Anniversary Edition and finished it through not streaming because no one was really watching. But I did have a complete playthrough of the Fable Anniversary Edition with Hero Mode on my YouTube channel. The like one life only mode. If you die, you're dead. And I did 100%. It was 100% playthrough in that mode of Fable Anniversary because Fable is a broken mess of a game, and they did not actually fix it from being a broken mess of a game when they remastered it and remade it into Anniversary Edition. So yeah, I exploited the crap out of the economic system in that game early on to get like a really good weapon really early, and just smashed going through the rest of the game. But that was one of the series that also had an end screen element, which was these QR codes to provide cryptocurrency to wallets that I don't have access to. And therefore, I removed that series because I don't have access to those wallets, and it wasn't getting views anyway, so yeah, sure. The one that stung was that Gladius also had some videos that had that end screen on it, so I was like, okay, I guess I'll bring the whole thing down, because I don't have the source files anymore to cut the stuff off the ends of those videos. And then what am I going to do? Re-upload those videos, and flood people's sub boxes and kill my search rankings for a while because I flooded people's sub boxes? No, I'm not going to do that. Not in a million years. So those were the results. Overall, Crash Story 2 has won. I am very much surprised. I'm actually surprised that Audionauts got that high of votes. And I am surprised completely by how high Planet Coaster got, matching Audionauts for third with Vanilla plus Factorio. I'm also somewhat surprised by the placement of Stardew Valley and Dark Souls. I was expecting a few fewer votes for those. I was pretty much expecting some stuff to just have 0. I'm surprised that everything got at least 1 vote for 1, and I am somewhat surprised that some stuff got multiple votes, upwards of 5 to 7. Yeah, that is somewhat surprising. Somewhat surprising. So going forward, I will have some of these games on future lists. I'm also going to add some other related games to those genres. So maybe not things like Skyrim, but things like the Dark Souls will be on here. Other management sim type games is what I'm thinking. Other automation and management sim games that I technically own or could own at this point could be on future polls, and games that are free that I've been playing recently will be on future polls as well. So that is the state of the poll. We are going to be playing Crash Stario 2. That will start as early as tomorrow. It will depend on how much I record today. I think today, in celebration, I am going to be preparing and recording as much as I can of that Crash Stario playthrough. Like that will be my day today is Crash Stario going forward. So what is the next thing I want to talk about? Well, let's talk a bit about the progress on the streaming, what I've been playing, and talk a bit about the kittens and all that good stuff. That's where we're going to go to next. So streaming, I have been streaming PyBlock. That has continued through the course of August. And in particular, I have gotten to a point where I now have zinc. I looked at my progression in PyBlock versus the Pi Alien Life Paidu Valley series, actually, just to see how things are going by comparison. And I am not as far along in PyBlock as I was in Pi Alien Life at this point, because in Pi Alien Life, basically, so as of this stream day, I'm doing the same things as I was doing in Paidu Valley at this same stream day in PyBlock. So we're actually at parity in terms of what we've been doing lately in PyBlock and in Paidu Valley. But in Paidu Valley, by this point, I have also already set up phosphate processing. I have already set up the rare earth processing into cobalt, into the artificial blood, and I've already set up the more advanced aluminium to get into the pulp 1 that I need for getting into circuit 2s. So I've done a lot more things than I've done here. But there's always a but. I have done a bit more scale. I have a much bigger rail network. Like I have an actual network of rails here in this playthrough. I have much bigger overall builds that I've been doing in this playthrough with PyBlock. And things like phosphates, which is going to be the next thing that I work on after molybdenum, because molybdenum is next. I just got filtration media, so that's what we ended off with going into yesterday's stream. Was I'm now starting filtration media. I'm like building out the build for filtration media. We will be finishing it in this next stream tomorrow, and moving on into moly processing. I finished zinc and doing the activated carbon filtration media zinc chloride build. I have a lot of things at much greater scale, like Kickalk. Like I don't even know if I even have Kickalk at this point in the Paidu Valley series. Like I don't know if I've even set up a real Kickalk build yet. I'm pretty sure I haven't set up a real Kickalk build. And I've dabbled in things, or will soon be based on stream day, dabbling in things like the Yotoi Grod bedding. stuff where I did a 1 per second betting build and wasted a bunch of time doing that because it's not really useful at this stage of the game. But yeah, phosphate processing, when I do get to it, is going to be a bit more difficult because that has to be completely done abiotically. And then the rare earth processing is basically converting phosphate rocks into rare earth through PyBlock's own separate special process to get rare earth ores. So that's going to be fun too. Fun too. Over time as we go into this month of September. So, what are my plans to going forward? Do I like in terms of progression in the PyBlock series on Twitch through the month of September? Well, we're going to finish off that filtration media first thing and go into molybdenum processing. Then we're going into phosphate processing and rare earth processing into cobalt, into artificial blood because I want Mukmo. Oddly, I need to do all of that, and I need lard first. That's the pie sweep for you, because Mukmo is ultimately going to be what I will end up using for lard at scale, but I need to do something else for lard to be able to go into this processing that I need to do at the moment. So it's like, yeah, great, wonderful, magnificent stuff. And we've got lots of other stuff to do as well. Various scaling tasks of what I already have. The factory must continue to grow and all that good stuff. As for what I can realistically get through by the end of the month, I'm not quite sure about that. Like after the phosphate stuff and the artificial blood stuff and rare earth processing, I'm basically ready to do the Pi Science. In fact, I'll end up doing Pi Science after getting the phosphoric acid, because I do want to get Pi Science rolling sooner rather than later, and that just needs PCB2s, which does need lard for etching solution stuff, and needs phosphoric acid. So that's the big process that I need to get to before I can do Pi Science, and I'll do Pi Science when I can do it after the phosphate stuff, and then rare earth, and then into the artificial blood and Mukmo and real lard builds and etc. Getting into actual circuit twos, and then actual chemical science packs, and we're going to just keep progressing from there. Once I get actual chemical science packs, it's then looking towards, oh yeah, and I need stainless steel needs to exist somewhere in there as well. Among all this other stuff, stainless steel, ferrochrome, all that needs to be in there to get into the circuit twos. But yeah, we'll see how far I get. Like the immediate goal is to get into Pi Science and chemical science, real chemical science. I have fat brain chemical science. I need to get into that as soon as I can to be able to keep up with the techs that require both Pi Science and chemical science, because those are really important techs to get through and to actually start using as soon as possible. And of course, once I have circuit 2s, like all of the Mark II buildings ever would be of great use to me to reduce entities, because I am very much suffering on entity count. And that's the other thing I want to note, is that I started off the map with having Factorissimo. Over the course of this past month, I had used Factorissimo a fair bit, but I can't continue using it. I have to extract everything that I have in Factorissimo buildings that I'm currently depending on and remove the mod completely, because it uses way too much performance. It uses way too much performance to move stuff across surfaces. Even in the best case scenarios of using the steel blah. Yes, the steel blah, the boxes. Using boxes to move stuff across surfaces is the least uh, process demanding. It's the least demanding of the various ways to move the stuff, and even that is just not. It's way too much performance. So I have to get rid of it. It's using not just performance in terms of the script to move stuff across the surfaces. It's also using a lot of performance. I believe it's using a lot of performance in terms of how it handles power. Like way more than it even remotely should. Like the power performance cost is absolutely massive, and I do notice it goes down when I disconnect factory small buildings. So there's that to consider too. As for the PySuite tutorials, those have been continuing just fine. The views have been okay on that as we've been going along. I'm essentially done recording the vast majority of the actual ore processing stuffs, and I'm moving on into things like the rare earth ores, etc. I need to record a phosphate video, still, but I am not even remotely close to running out of ideas, in terms of the videos that can be, made. I still need to do Nextlit. I still need to do phosphates. I'm going to do a Circuit 2, a Circuit 3, and a Circuit 4 video, a Logistics Science, Chemical Science, Pi Science, Production Science, Utility Science, and Space Science overview. We've got Cobalt Processing, Artificial Blood, Good Alien Samples, Great Alien Samples, Perfect Samples, Neuroprocessors, overviews for the 30 plus organisms, plus moss, sap, wood, seaweed. And yeah, like all of those things. Like I want to do overviews and updated overviews of all of the alien life creatures as well. Those will be generally speaking new tutorials, and of course, I want to start doing Factorio tutorials for beyond just the PySuite, because I have already gotten. Well, I got a request to do an updated Planeton tutorial for power production. I did get a request for power production in my comments. I don't know if that person is going to actually watch this video and watch to this point in this video to know that I've mentioned that I have now added that onto my list of tutorials to do. But there's also been a request for a Helmod tutorial, which I will do. And then since I'll be playing Crastorio 2, I would say that I might consider. Well, I will absolutely be doing some Crastorio 2 tutorials once I get some more experience with it. And I will be doing some vanilla tutorials too, because that's really low-hanging fruit to do tutorials for vanilla Factorio. Like that should be definitely a thing on the list to attract people to the channel who are not playing with the mod suites that I particularly play with. That would be a thing. And then of course, as I go on, I anticipate that I will at some point do an ABX playthrough, so those should have tutorials as well. I was about to sneeze, but it decided to not happen. I dislike when such a thing happens, where you feel the sneeze and then it doesn't sneeze. But anyway, so I've made those notes at this point of stuff for the tutorials. In that tutorial series time slot, I have basically decided at this point that the Monday, Wednesday, Friday time slot going forward is pretty much going to be a tutorial time slot. Like, it's going to be tutorials. I foresee that as being a required thing in order to continue to keep my channel going, basically. And the greater the variety of the tutorials that I can offer, in terms of which mods I'm covering, I suppose I should also add onto that list a TSM tutorial as well. as the Hellmod tutorial, because that's a rather important thing to discuss, an important concept mod that I end up using a lot. So that would be good to add onto that list. Yeah, so that's all my thoughts on that. That slots Monday, Wednesday, Friday slot at 8 p.m. is just likely gonna stay as tutorials for the foreseeable future until I run out of ideas. Until I run out of ideas, which may take about 6 months. Oh yeah, and I need to update blah. I need to redo the rock hole processing video. I need to redo already the rock hole processing video. Why? Because it changed. Redo rock hole processing. Just need to make note of that. It changed. It's as simple as that. I did my rock hole processing tutorial update video, and because I am actually showing numbers this time on everything and explaining why it's so broken, specifically providing the numbers in Hellmod, it got changed. King Arthur changed the Rockhole processing chain, and now I need to update the production line to provide a current version of that, as well as do the video again. Basically, I have to do the video again to make sure everyone is fully up to date on that. I would say that I will do that on my next recording session, probably on Monday, for the tutorial series. So that's all of that stuff taken care of. That's all of my progression in terms of like the content, what's been going on with the content, what's been going on with the patronage, and all that other good stuff. All of the content work stuff. What have I been playing lately? Let's get a little more levity into this as we approach the end. What have I been playing lately? Well, Total War Saga Troy over this past month was free for everyone for one day if you were able to pick it up on the Epic Game Store during that one day. I, of course, picked it up, and I've played through it. I have played a Sparta campaign, and I beat that Sparta campaign on the default difficulty, which is hard. Hard. That's the default difficulty. Got through it. It is hard. I would actually, yes, call it hard. I enjoyed my time with it, but it does have its problems. I do really enjoy the mechanics a lot. I really enjoy the mechanics. The battle system does feel pretty satisfying on it. But I think that just in the geography of the map, it becomes a bit of a cluster. So Total War Saga Troy is based off of the Iliad and the war between the like mainland Greece, specifically Sparta's area of southern Greece, and this land of Troy on the other side of the water, across the pond, shall we say, of Asia Minor. So the map includes the whole of the Greek peninsula up north through the land connecting up to Constantinople / Byzantium and that channel, and then it goes through the coast Asia Minor all the way down, and it also includes as far south as the entire island of Crete. So that's a pretty big geographic range, and it's a really big body of water in between it with lots of islands, lots of little islands. So just in the way that the game is designed with having a specific minimal amount of individual armies led by a commander, which is a thing that I've not been a particular fan of since they first introduced it with Rome 2. Um, it makes defending your lands impossible, basically. Like, properly defending your land is completely impossible. And especially since they have the supply line system from the Warhammer games, because it's based off of the Warhammer engine. I I don't like it. I don't like it in the slightest. It actively deters and prevents you from maintaining a standing army large enough to actually defend your lands properly. Um, and you have to be resigned to the fact that no matter how well you play, you're always going to lose land. Uh, and have settlements sacked and potentially have settlements completely razed by opponent armies. Uh, at which point, by the way, you're basically going to be in a state of near perpetual war with the opposing side, and the diplomacy system entices you to form really big webs of diplomacy from within your own faction, basically, and your faction isn't a cohesive unit either. So you're going to be facing wars from abroad and from within that you have to deal with, and it can become a real pain dealing with all of the random little armies going about the place trying to sack your settlements or even take your settlements or raise them. Of course, you're doing the same exact thing to the enemy, so there's at least some balance there, but still, it gets really complicated to maintain your armies, and the Confederation system doesn't do the game any favors, because if you confederate someone, sure, you get their land, but you also get their armies, and each army becomes progressively more and more expensive to maintain thanks to the system of supply lines that is in the game. So instead of being two separate countries with two separate supply lines, now you've got one bigger country with the same amount of supply lines as one, with the same with now even more penalties because it's an exponential penalty system. Like, what? Why? That it that whole mechanic has never uh I've never enjoyed that particular penalty for maintaining multiple armies. Just this arbitrary penalty to make your armies more expensive for having additional armies. Like, excuse me, but am I not already paying additional upkeep by maintaining an additional commander to begin with? Why do I now need to also maintain, like, spend more money for every unit that I have, including the commanders, just for the privilege of having another army? Like, excuse me. Like, really? Really? Um, so yeah, that's like my complaints about Troy, and like my complaints about Warhammer too. Like, the exact same thing applies to Total Warhammer 2. That and the whole units have HP thing, and the uh, difficulty levels you can end up with really poor quality opposing enemy units actually completely trashing your much higher quality units just because difficulty. Like, excuse me, but no, that's not how that works. That's not how that's supposed to work. That's not that's not ideal as a way of doing difficulty. But anyway, that's enough of that. I still enjoyed my time on that Sparta playthrough. Overall, I did run into a bug where I could not actually do the Homeric victory condition and had to do the Total War victory condition because I was tasked with reclaiming Helen, the whole point of the Trojan War, as well as defeating Paris, like destroying Paris's faction. Well, Paris's faction, prior to me actually getting this mission, had been confederated by another Trojan faction, which also became my rival faction, and I completely annihilated before getting the mission to destroy Paris. So Paris was deleted from the game prior to getting the mission to destroy Paris, and the game did not recognize that Paris did not exist, and did not give me credit when I did get Helen. And that's the other problem, is that Helen was in a town owned by an ally, and it also doesn't count as me having access to Helen because I need to claim her from my ally, and there's no method in the game to claim Helen from an ally as Sparta. Like, oversight much? That I consider complete oversight, because Agamemnon had Helen on one of his lands, and I basically had to confederate Agamemnon in order to get access to Helen. Which there's an exploit, by the way, to basically you can totally gift 1 unit of food to any entity on the map, anything that you have diplomatic ties with or know about diplomatically. You can gift 1 unit of food infinitely for as much food as you have, and each time you gift 1 unit of food, it counts as giving a gift to that nation. And you can, if you're patient enough, there does not appear to be an upper limit to how much of relationship you can gain by giving 1 unit of food many times within 1 turn. I managed to, I think, cap over, or I did it over 1,000 from gifts. Like, it's nuts. I thought there would be an upper limit at like 500, but no, it kept going past 500. It's like, surely that there's an upper limit here. Maybe at 1,000? No, it goes beyond 1,000, whatever the upper limit is, and I did not have the patience to go much beyond that. It's not immediate though. The change in relationship, just the way that diplomacy and Total War has been handled over the past several games. It's not an immediate gain when you give a gift to someone. If their relationship is set to go higher, it will take time to go higher. I think it's some percentage value that it goes up by each turn to eventually approach that maximal value. But it is a percentage, so the higher the maximum, the more per turn gain you get in relationship. So it's a very easy way to just game the system, exploit the system, and be able to gain enough relationship value to just confederate whoever you want that you can confederate. You can just confederate anyone by doing that. It's insane, and it'll be fixed, I'm sure, at some point. But I had to do it to be able to confederate Agamemnon to get Helen, because he had Helen. I wasn't going to go to war with my ally, my brother Agamemnon, to get Helen back. Like, what? Makes no sense. So that's about all I'll say about Total War Saga Troy at the moment. I spent a really long time just now talking about that. Let's move on to something else. I have been learning a different free 4X strategy game lately called Aurora 4X. You may have seen Quill18 playing this game recently, as have I. And yeah, it's a space simulation game that takes place. It takes place like in a very realistic type of a setting. So basically, you've just discovered this stuff called trans-Newtonian elements. You know that these things exist. You're tasked with mining these things, growing your empire. The main thing that these trans-Newtonian elements allows for is the faster than light travel, as well as not having to deal with laws of inertia and all that good stuff. As like the only not quite realistic things that apply to have a game in the first place, right? You have to make some sacrifices to have a game. And in this case, in order to have the game, we have these fake elements that are going to be our minerals that we have to mine, and we have to make sure that we don't run out of them, and keep expanding and expanding and expanding, and get more and more and more of them. Because if you didn't know, life is parasitic to the universe. Life is all about consumption of materials, and yeah, about that. See, there's only a limited amount of materials that exist in the entirety of the universe. So, yeah, take from that what you will. But this game is very much designed to be extremely realistic, and it is designed around you having complete control over basically every single aspect of your empire, including all of your personnel. All personnel. You can control who gets assigned to what. You literally have that level of granularity of control as to which individual person will get assigned to an individual entity, like a ship or a command structure. Who's the leader of the naval command? And so on and so forth. Who's the governor of Earth? Who's the governor of whatever colonies you've set up? Who's going to take care of the mining operations on some random ass comet that you've decided to mine? That sort of stuff. And it actually simulates a pretty realistic version of the Sol system, of our solar system. Pretty realistic version. It's not exact, it's given a name set, from what I can tell, of existent stuff in the solar system, and randomly distributes a few things like asteroids and such. It has realistic placement of the main planets and dwarf planets, I think, but things, and maybe like a few notable comets and asteroids, but otherwise, I think a lot of it's randomly generated, like stuff in the Kuiper Belt, stuff in the whatever the hell the name is of the actual asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, and it's even got asteroids at the Lagrange points, but on many planets. Like it's got our freaking partner asteroids that exist in the Lagrange points in Earth, and all of the stuff that's in the Jupiter Lagrange points. It's nuts. It's nuts is the point I'm trying to make in terms of all the stuff that's in just your starting solar system. And you have to design ships from scratch to explore it and to start to exploit it. It's 4X. Explore, exploit. Yeah. What are those 4X's again? I always forget one of them. It's explore, exploit, expand. I think is also one. Explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate. Because yes, there is combat in this game. As much time as it takes to get to that point, yes, there is combat because the game can spawn in alien races that you will have to deal with. Deal with these other alien races. So you have to make sure that you are defended, and you have to maintain defenses to make sure that you are not obliterated by an alien race that may spawn in. And of course, there's levels of settings, and that will help to determine what sort of threat those alien races will be for you over time. And yeah, let's just say that I've been playing this game. I've been learning this game. It has a very, 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 very difficult to learn UI, and it's pretty difficult to really get a grasp, wrap your head around all the things that you really need to do at the start of a game, which is why, unlike the creator of this game, I will always recommend playing a conventional start rather than a trans-Newtonian start, because the last thing a new player needs is to have literally everything thrown at them all at once. Starting as a conventional empire will mean that you have to follow a very specific set of steps in which to grow to a point where you can actually use all of the mechanics. It should allow you, as in a conventional start, to learn the mechanics at your own pace by not giving you access to all of the everything from the very beginning. You get access to a lot. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of stuff you have to know and learn in a conventional start as you transition your empire into this trans-Newtonian, faster than light, multi-solar empire. And that's the other thing I much prefer, by the way, about having this conventional start. It's like I totally want to play an empire transitioning from conventional stuff to being this great transgalactic empire. I don't think it's quite transgalactic, but it's at the very least an interstellar empire. Transgalactic being, of course, between galaxies. This one only has one galaxy, as far as I'm aware. In fact, I don't even think it's full galaxy. It's just you keep exploring, and the game just generates more stuff as you go along. Very much randomly generated. Also, I'm playing in the C# version of the game, which is the most recent version of Aurora 4X. Version at this point in time, version 1.11 of the C# installation for Aurora 4X, and there is going to be an version. There is a version 12 in the works and on the way that will also invalidate any existing saves when that releases if you want to play on version 12, because the way that the game is written, involves databases. Basically, it is a database, giant database that needs to be updated and written to, and whenever you add stuff to the database, it means that your saves are just not valid anymore because the database has changed and it's different in terms of what's in the database. References and calls to specific parts of the database will no longer properly function if stuff gets shifted around by adding or removing entries in the overall structure. So I've been learning that is the other thing I've been learning as I progressively over the course of this get more and more gunk loading into my nose. So kittens, we'll end off with the kittens. They're okay right now. They've had a vet visit that they came out pretty healthy. They didn't really have anything too severe to worry about. We had to give Ollie some eye drops for a while, but we're a little bit suspicious that Ollie may be asthmatic, potentially. He perpetually has a stuffy nose. And we can tell that he has a stuffy nose. And he's been lately starting to try to it seems like he's trying to clear his stuffy nose. He's like trying to force air out through his nose, and it ends up sounding like a mix between a cough, a sneeze, and a heave. So it's odd. We will probably have to take him in if it's not going to clear up by itself anytime soon. We just have to wait and see at this point because we're not going to be able to really take him to a vet until mid-month at the minimum. So yeah, otherwise, besides that one thing, and Dolly, of course, they're siblings. She seems to have some of that too, as well. She also seems to maybe have a little bit of that as well. But otherwise, they have been playing just normal. Nothing about their behavior otherwise has changed. They are not sleeping any more than they normally sleep. They aren't lethargic in any way, shape, or form. They go completely wild and insane, and they just got new toys to play with this past weekend, where we got them some more little mice to play with, as well as some Halloween themed toys to play with this past weekend. They got a whole bunch of new stuff to have while folks are away, and I'm the only one here to be with them. So they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. So, with that, after what looks like about an hour and 15 minutes of an update vlog, I'm sure the longest one thus far, I would very much like to thank you all for watching if you made it this far in the video. Especially those who are patrons. Thank you so very much. And thank you again to Cole Fodoraro for his their incredibly generous tip for this month. I really appreciate it. It has changed my plans significantly for the course of this month. And of course, we can look forward now to a whole bunch of Crash Dario 2 content coming forward on the YouTube channel. Like we can look forward to that. So again, thank you all for watching. This has been Otaku Showboat. If you have been enjoying the update vlogs thus far, please be sure to do all of the engagement and social stuff below the video. You can, of course, support me on Patreon at patreon.com/otakushowboat or through Twitch subs or bits or Streamlabs PayPal tips or, I guess at some point, YouTube memberships if folks want it as an option. Let me know in the comments below about that one. And I will, of course, see you all on the next one.